Welcome everybody. My name is Vincent Fatman from CTG. We are here today in this session specifically for ServiceNow regarding ITOM. Now, most people will know ServiceNow from the ITIL service desk part, but it has a lot more to offer. One of the things is what I call a manager of manager, but a new generation version. And I present you Xavier. He will guide you through what ServiceNow has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a little bit on my background. So I've worked some years ago for BMC for 10 years. And the last 8 years I worked for HP, and I joined recently ServiceNow beginning of this year. I managed to take CTG with me to ServiceNow. So we managed to upgrade together to a newer technology. So the goal of today is really to drill down about in ITOM, and I will explain what is ITOM, because ITOM is just a name, but what does that mean in the ServiceNow context? What I will first start with is a small video. I ask you to have a little bit of attention to this video, because it allows me to skip 5 slides and just to position how ServiceNow is on the market today, what we offer, and just as Vincent mentioned, that ServiceNow is not at all an ITSM tooling. So it has started from that some years ago, but today ServiceNow is only doing a small part of its revenue on ITSM. So we are doing much more than ITSM, and this video will show you the challenge and how we address them.
Every industry is being disrupted, transformed by automation, intuitive consumer experiences, machine learning, and an explosion of connected devices. To keep up, your enterprise needs to move faster, but you can't. Outdated patterns of work are slowing you down. Customer requests, IT incidents, HR cases, all following their own paths within your enterprise, moving back and forth between people, machines, and departments. Unstructured, unimproved for years. But what if you could structure and automate these patterns to accelerate the flow of work? With the ServiceNow System of Action, you can. The only cloud platform built for the entire enterprise, ServiceNow replaces the unstructured work patterns of the past with intelligent workflows of the future. Now, your enterprise works at light speed. Now, any employee, customer, or connected device can easily make requests and get fast response. Now, teams working on those requests can assign and prioritize, collaborate, get down to root cause issues, and drive to action. IT can increase agility and lower costs by consolidating legacy tools into a modern, easy-to-use service management solution in the cloud. Security can collaborate with IT to resolve real threats fast, using a structured response engine to prioritize and resolve incidents based on service impact. Customer service can drive case volume down and customer loyalty up by assessing product service health in real time and working across departments to quickly remediate service issues. HR can consumerize the employee service experience with self-service portals and get the insights they need to continually improve service delivery. And any department can quickly build business applications to automate processes with reusable components that help accelerate innovation. Now, you can structure and automate the patterns of work, unleash productivity, deliver game-changing economics, and create an intelligent, connected enterprise. This is your business transformed. This is your enterprise at light speed. ServiceNow. Work at light speed.
So, if you would like me, we're working with legacy tools before, and then you see that, you say just wow. So it's how you get convinced to get to such a company. And still today, when I'm seeing some presentation of the solution, I still say wow, because it's really amazing. So as you see, we have a cloud platform. So ServiceNow is a cloud solution, so in the cloud, and we have, in fact, a platform. This platform can be used to write your own applications, and of course, ServiceNow support applications for different domains. So you can see that we have applications for IT, we have applications for security, we have applications for customer services and HR, and we have lots of customers, including in Belgium, like ING, but also others that have written their own application, their own business application. So I will drill down today mainly to the IT part, but if you are interested in HR, you are interested in security, you can come and talk to us. I have my colleague PJ also in the room with also a solution consultant like me, and together we can cover most of the solutions that are in the different domain here. So as I said today, I will mainly drill down on IT, and on IT we cover mainly three different domains. Of course, we are known from coming from the IT service management world, so incident, problem, change, request, portal. This is really where we have grown from. IT operations management, that's where I will really stress today, the session. And finally, I see also IT business management. IT business management has to do with everything from covering the demand from the business, from an end user, going to a project portfolio approach, through the software development lifecycle and the testing. So we have also solutions in that area under the IT business management hood. But today, as I said, we will focus on IT operations management. So if you look a little bit, if we take IT service management, mainly the people at the service desk, they are dealing, see that the screen is really big, so they are dealing with business problems. So usually when you have an end user or a customer on the line, they are complaining about an HR benefit side problem, a customer support application problem, a financial problem, an email problem. And on the right-hand side, usually you have the infrastructure, maybe on-premise, maybe in the cloud, supporting these services, okay? So on the service desk, you get these kind of questions, and on the other side, you get maybe alerts coming from an infrastructure management system that says that this drive on the server has crashed, but at the other side, it's the HR benefits website that is slow. So how do you make the connection between these two worlds? And that's a question to you. How do you make a translation between an infrastructure and a service? What kind of capabilities do you need? Someone knows that. Yeah, Vincent, you know that. Okay, shoot.
You need to link the business services to the infrastructure.
Yes.
Preferably automated.
But what is the component that you need to do to have that?
Discovery.
Yeah, you need first a CMDB. Still the good old CMDB. And you need to have a service-oriented CMDB. So it means that you need to find, to have a repository where you can find a relationship between your components, your service, and the components in the infrastructure that support these services. So it's still key. And in ServiceNow, it's even more key than in other solutions, because when I showed you in the beginning the different domains like HR, like security, all these different components, they will work together through the CMDB. So the quality of the CMDB is, if you want to get the value from the platform and from the solutions, you will need a very strong CMDB, a very accurate CMDB. And then, of course, this CMDB, which is usually residing in the service management space, this CMDB will need to be aware of what infrastructure component we have in infrastructure, because it's quite difficult to fill that in manually, so you will need to have these CIs being pushed up in the CMDB. You will need also to be able to connect the events and the alerts that you get on this infrastructure component to have a good understanding on how is my service performing and how is my service availability. On the other side, of course, from your service management perspective, you will need to create change, to make change to your infrastructure, and you will need to push these changes on your environment. So you will need to automate this change management process as much as possible. If you go today to an Amazon, if you go to a ServiceNow, you ask for a new platform, or you ask to change something in the platform, it's just a click, a change is created, and a change is performed automatically in a few minutes to a few hours, but it's really automated as much as possible. So in the IT operations management solution of ServiceNow, what you have is, first of all, what we call the visibility with the discovery. And in ServiceNow, we call it service mapping. Why service mapping? Because we take the approach of covering both aspects of discovery. Most of the solutions on the market today, they go on a range of IP. They will check, okay, is there something running here? What kind of OS do I have? What kind of application or database is running on this OS? Now, we take both approach. We took this traditional approach, but we take also the approach of going down. So going from the end user standpoint. So if I want to connect to my HR website, I need to have an IP address and I need to drill down. So probably I will connect to a load balancer that will balance me through different web servers to different application servers. So we take both approach and we let them connect together. The second component that we have in IT operations management is what we call operational intelligence. So being able to interconnect what you have in our industry. So ServiceNow is not there to replace a BMC Patrol or Nagios or SCOM or Dynatrace, because these are doing their job pretty good. So what we want to do is to be able to connect these solutions on the market and bring them into the platform. And there, doing the correlation, doing the operational intelligence on these events. And I will explain a little bit more into detail. And finally, as I said, we need to automate as much as possible. That's also one of the key benefits of ServiceNow, is to automate the process internally, but also so internally to the platform, but also externally, so being able to orchestrate again to a wide variety of components. So strength of ServiceNow is the integration with a very large ecosystem. So if we drill down a little bit to service mapping, so you see, as I said, you have two approaches to discovery. Usually traditional solution on the market, they do what we call the horizontal discovery. So it means they will go to each server, they will try to understand what is running on them, on their database application server, and they will go bottom up. Yes, bottom up. With service mapping, we try also to do top down. So we take the path of starting from an end user standpoint, trying to understand, okay, all these services, what are the components of my infrastructure that this service relies on. And as you can see, the very big difference is that here you traditionally discover everything, so you will go range by range of IP. On this side, you go service by service. So this one probably, and most of the companies that do that, they try to have the full coverage on a weekly basis. When you do service mapping, you can do that on a more regular basis. You can do twice, three times a day, or every hour, because you will only discover a subset of the components necessary for a specific service. So just to try to mix a little bit, and I don't know if it will be possible with the time, but I will try anyway. See, if I go to the platform itself, so if you go to the ServiceNow platform, as I said, the first thing is the CMDB. Very important to have it under control, to understand what is my overall health of CMDB. So you see here I'm not doing quite good, but what we need to understand is the health. So is my CMDB complete? Do I have all the field required? Is my CMDB correct? So what does that mean? Do I have duplicate in my environment? Do I have orphan CIs that have no connection, so there is no relationship? Do I have CIs that have not been touched for a certain amount of time? And compliance allows you to define some specific compliance. Like, for example, I want to discover that I want to ensure that all my servers in my environment have an antivirus connected to them, or have specific things that I want to check. So this compliance scorecard is what you want to do. So if I go to service mapping, and typically if I take one service, you will see that with service mapping, the only thing I will give is an entry point. So I don't really specify anything else than the entry point to this application. In that case, it is an HTTP entry point, but there are more entry points available. So if I do new here, you will see that I have a lot of different entry points that are available. Of course, if you want to discuss that, you come to our booth and we can show you that more into detail. And what is interesting at the end is that we will have the mapping. So in service mapping, what is important is to understand, okay, I will entry this HTTP, I will connect on a load balancer that will balance me to, in that case, 2 Apache web servers, that will balance me to 2 IBM WebSphere web servers, and be able to drill down into my infrastructure. Okay, so this is really how it works. We start from top. Of course, we will also gather information that's coming from the traditional discovery as well, like the servers, what is installed on the server, and that kind of thing. But we really take the approach of discovering top-down. But we have the information available also on the bottom up. So if I look at this Apache server, where I see only here 2 relationships, on the service mapping, if I want to have a view of this Apache server on the dependency mapping, I can see all the different connections that this Apache server here has, because then I will use the other way around. I will check, okay, this Apache server from a business standpoint and this Apache server from a connection standpoint. So you have the two different approach, the horizontal discovery and the service mapping discovery. Is it clear for everybody? So how you, the two dimension to discovery that we have in our solutions. Also, what is very interesting in the solution, and that's why I say it's the glue, because you can see that I was interested here by these Apache web servers, but I can see here that I have a connection to an Oracle instance here that has some incident open and maybe some change open to it. So here you can see at any point in time on all your CIs, if, for example, on this one, on the iPlanet, I have a change which is foreseen. Okay, so that's also interesting because here I had connected, for example, the security applications. If there were some vulnerabilities discovered or if there were some security incidents, I would see them as well on this map. So someone from the security can see if there are incidents on the IT side. Someone from the IT side can see if there are some problems with security. And that's how you connect. So the more modules you connect, the more information you will have on this detailed view. Okay? Let's go back to the presentation. So next thing, which is quite important, is the operational intelligence. So as I said here, what we are trying to do with our operational intelligence is to connect to a very large variety. I think today we have more or less 100 connections possible to any kind of monitoring solution on the market. We take this information and then we will enrich this information with our topology. So when we have discovered how the service and the components are related to each other, we're able to make some topology-based even correlations. So we understand that if two events are linked to the same service, probably there is a correlation. And rather than showing all the events, we can regroup them, showing for you only what we call the causal effect and the causal events, and not the side effect events. What we will also be able to do, and that's quite unique to ServiceNow, is to be able to make to prevent future issues. So what I forgot to say when I was talking about the platform is that ServiceNow invests a lot in machine learning. So what's going on is that when you are looking at events, ServiceNow will be able to understand, okay, here I have two orange critical or severity orange, so it means high severity events. And then if I look a little bit later in the time, I got this red event. So the system in that moment is in a kind of training mode. So it's learning from all the events you get from your management, and you can say to which extent you want to train the system. It's trying to recognize some patterns of what is occurring. So if I got this, in a few hours later, I will get that. And then, so here, for example, when I get an alert on my trade server, too many worker threats, I get usually that there is a high CPU on the trade server 1. So you will be able, in the future, if this is occurring again, that to prevent you, okay, last time, and telling you also the confidence that he has, last time we got these two alerts, a few hours later we got this information, these events occurring. So it's pretty powerful because this is based on what you have in your CMDB, but also just on learning how the events and the alerts are coming on the screen. So the system is learning every time and is retraining every time. So the longer you will run with the system, the more precise it will become. So you will be able then to create an incident, of course, to determine the severity. Again, he will use the same information that he got from his training set. And he will be able to say, okay, last time, this is my training data. Last time I had a problem with online shopping and the description was application not responding. We open a severity 1 incident Last time we had a partner portal agreement updated. We opened a Severity 2 incident. So the system will really do the same here. Okay, so it will really go and say, okay, if I got the application shopping error and I see that this is not responding, I will open a Severity 1 and it will really do that. So the goal is here also that we open the right incidents based on proactive alerts, so being able to be proactive, so before an incident or before a problem is occurring, that we will be able to detect that and to open an incident with the right severity. So it's pretty, I think, unique right now on the market to have that kind of thing, to have really this intelligence automation. This intelligence automation is also working on ITSM. For example, in ITSM, when an end user is writing an incident, he will be able to understand, okay, this is his problem, I need to put this category and I need to assign to this person. Also based on training information and on evaluations. So here, if I go back to my demo, I will show you that we have here, that's the way we can, one way that we can represent a little bit here, our different business services, okay? And I will generate some alerts, some events. Okay, so if I look, it's just taking some 1 or 2 minutes to arrive. So I will get these alerts coming from various monitoring solutions, and I will see how it impacts my services. The problem is, should I do that before the meeting or during the meeting? Yeah, always a question. While it's arriving, yeah, it's starting to arrive. What is nice, I can show you here how it's going, but I can also show you on the alert console. That's a more traditional console, and here you will see how the system is trying to make some patterns of alerts. So you see you're receiving all the alerts, but you see that he is starting to make some cluster. Here. So it thinks that these 3 alerts are linked together. And it will create what we call automated grouping. So in fact, it will group alerts saying, okay, these alerts are can be grouped together, and rather than having on the screen 100 alerts, you will have groups of alerts that are depending together, that the system believes are related to each other. So if I click, for example, on this specific alerts here, I will see that I have 1 alert, but in fact this alert is a group of 3 different alerts. You can see also the sources. Here I have a source SCOM, I have a source Nagios, I have just another SCOM that arrived, I have a CloudWatch, so something coming from Amazon. So you can have different sources of events. If I now go back on the event management dashboard, I can also see here that the system has decided on all the incidents on all the events that you have received to open an incident. So here I can click on the incident. I can see that this incident has been opened by my event management. I can just have some information, and I can see that there are SLA that have been started because we are impacting one of our critical service, and I can have a link to the alert. So as we are in the same platform, there is no difference between incident, alerts, events. Everything is on the same platform. If I click on my electronic messaging, so where the incident was open, I can drill down and see here again the same view that we had before when I was talking about discovery and service mapping, but now I have, of course, these maps which has been colored by the different events that have been received. I have a timeline on top. I can go back to a situation where, okay, here it's a little bit black and white and green or red, but I imagine if you are in a true environment that you can go any time back and see what was the the situation, let's say 1 hour ago. And also, what is very interesting is that you can say, I want also to check, to compare 2 points in time. So let's say that you have the problem has just started here. So I can say, let's say between this point here and this point here, I want to compare if there has been any change occurring on my organization, on my map here. So any components that is part of this map, was there any changes occur? Because usually you get an incident or you get an event due to changes. So the system will go and check in the CMDB, do I have any change that have been linked? I will be able also to see them here, okay, if there are any change coming. Now, the last part that we have in these ITOM solutions, of course, is that we want to remediate. So if I click here and I ask him a little bit what is the root cause, he will show me that it's coming from these components here. And I can see from here, I can start the remediate options. Remediate options, in that case, a very simple one is restart the Apache service. So I can say run, and I will execute a workflow here. So the workflow is running. It will go through different phases. You can see the progress of this workflow. When it will have finished, of course, it will restore my situation. So now, something which is even more powerful in the platform is that this orchestration is part of our workflow engine. So if I look here, I have a change. For example, if I open the normal change workflow, I have different steps here. You see, when a change is occurring, I need to run a script, I need to wait for conditions, I need to ask for my approvals to different approval group, and then I will execute some task to implement the change. But when you look about orchestrations, it's using completely the same workflow. So there is no difference in ServiceNow terminology between a workflow which is executed internally or something which is executed externally. Where I was working before, you had an orchestrator, which is a separated tool from your workflow in the solutions. Here it's just the same workflow. It's just that at a certain point in time, you can say, I want to say here, as part of my dashboard, that I want, let's say, to create a user group in my Azure Active Directory, or that I want to run some PowerShell functions, or that I want to execute some VMware provisioning. So you can just drag and drop these actions into the actual workflow, and it will be executed. So no difference between the workflow used for the admin task, I would say approvals, notifications, create task, and the true execution of this task. It's using the same technology. And I think we have 5 minutes. Is that the 5 minutes for the 2 minutes for the question and answer? Yeah. So, okay, before the question and answer. Okay. So if I just finish my presentation here, the orchestration is pretty strong as well, because of course you can integrate with the different technologies on the market, different use cases that you can have for incident remediation, but provisioning, anything you can think of can be executed with this orchestration, and is part of the workflow. We have really specific workflow, for example, for security. We have specific workflow for HR. We have specific workflows for cloud automation and cloud management. So if you are wanting to go to a private cloud or hybrid cloud or public cloud, we have integration with VMware. We have integration with Azure. We have integration with Amazon, just to give you a flavor of what it's looking like. This is the portal for someone who wants to use our cloud management. You can see the spending he has on the cloud. He can ask things in the cloud. Everything is managed by the platform itself. So your change management, your incident management, your billing will be really visible in the platform. And here you can ask a combination. You can ask, for example, to provision a 3-tier architecture. The first part will be hosted on Amazon, connected with a database on Azure, and running an application server on a VM internally. So the system is really cloud agnostic. So you can create your blueprint and then really leave the workflow engine of ServiceNow making the provisioning. So it was in a very nutshell, small nuts, what we can do. So basically to end up here, what we try to do is really being proactive in service outage. And really, if you want, I encourage you to come to the booth and we can then spend more time on the demo itself. I want to thank you and ask if there are any questions here. Was that crystal? Yeah, you understood everything.
Crystal.
Crystals.